In American automotive history, there is a forgotten category of vehicles often called the most useless trucks. These were the low-cost models that promised strength and durability, yet delivered almost nothing of value. They looked like real trucks, but under the hood, they were weak, poorly built, and unreliable. During the mid-20th century, many working-class families wanted a pickup. A truck symbolized independence and the ability to work the land, haul goods, or start a small business.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Number 8. The Chevrolet LUV, a compact pickup truck that appeared in the 1970s, represents one of the more interesting collaborations in the history of the automotive industry. It was not originally conceived as an American product. Instead, it came from a period when General Motors was looking for ways to expand its lineup without incurring the high development costs of a brand new vehicle. The LUV was essentially a rebadged version of the Isuzu Faster, a Japanese pickup designed to meet the needs of buyers looking for a small but durable utility vehicle. At the time, American trucks were growing larger and more powerful, but there was a small yet growing demand for compact trucks that could offer fuel efficiency, ease of maneuvering, and lower ownership costs. The Chevrolet LUV filled this gap. The name itself, LUV, which stood for Light Utility Vehicle, carried a marketing playfulness that resonated in the 1970s. It was a period marked by cultural change, rising environmental awareness, and economic turbulence, especially the oil crisis of 1973 and 1979. American consumers were suddenly looking at gasoline prices in a new light, and the traditional full-size trucks seemed excessive for many people's actual needs. Into this environment came the Chevrolet LUV, small enough to deliver respectable fuel economy, but still capable of hauling loads, handling rougher roads, and being practical for everyday tasks. The first generation of the Chevrolet LUV was introduced in the United States in 1972. Underneath, it was essentially Isuzu engineering, powered by a 1.8-liter four-cylinder engine that produced modest horsepower compared to American V8s, but was sufficient for a light truck. The vehicle was available with both a 4-speed manual transmission and later an automatic, giving it versatility for different types of drivers. Its size was one of its greatest advantages, allowing urban dwellers and small business owners to park and maneuver easily in crowded environments. Unlike larger trucks, the LUV did not intimidate first-time truck owners. In fact, it appealed to many younger buyers and even some families who wanted a second car with utility functions. Over the years, the Chevrolet LUV underwent several updates. By the late 1970s and early 1980s, four-wheel drive versions became available, which greatly expanded its appeal to rural customers, outdoor enthusiasts, and workers in industries where ruggedness mattered. The styling also evolved, becoming slightly more angular to match contemporary tastes. Although never luxurious, the LUV could be fitted with practical comforts, such as upgraded upholstery, radios, and air conditioning, features that made it more livable as a daily driver. The small pickup was no longer just a workhorse, but also a lifestyle vehicle. The Chevrolet LUV found particular popularity among buyers who were encountering the compact truck concept for the first time. Before its arrival, the US market had limited options in this category, and Japanese manufacturers like Toyota and Datsun, later Nissan, were beginning to capture attention with their small pickups. General Motors, by importing Isuzu's design and putting its Chevrolet badge on it, was able to participate in this trend quickly without designing a truck from scratch. This partnership also helped Isuzu gain recognition in the American market, setting the stage for future collaborations between the two companies. One of the striking aspects of the love story is how it bridged cultures and markets. In Japan, the Isuzu Faster was simply a practical truck built for efficiency.
Number 7. The Ford Courier is one of those names in the automotive world that tells a story not just of a vehicle, but of an era, of shifting markets, of changing consumer expectations, and of the way global manufacturers respond to each other. To understand the Courier, one has to look at its origins, its transformations over time, and the reasons why it left a lasting impression in many regions of the world. Unlike some vehicles that stay in one category their entire lives, the Courier evolved, appearing as a compact pickup truck in some decades and later as a van in others, reflecting the flexibility of the Ford brand and its ability to adapt. Its first life as a compact pickup was directly tied to international partnerships, while its later versions mirrored the rise of urban delivery needs and the popularity of small commercial vans. The story of the Ford Courier begins in the early 1970s, when compact pickups began to carve out a niche in global markets, particularly in North America. Domestic manufacturers, like Ford, traditionally offered large, full-size pickups, rugged vehicles capable of carrying heavy loads and performing demanding tasks. However, the oil crisis of 1973 and the shifting economic realities of the time highlighted the need for smaller, more efficient alternatives. Japanese manufacturers such as Toyota, Datsun, and Mazda were already making headway with their compact trucks, offering vehicles that were lighter, easier to maneuver, and much more fuel efficient than the full-size American trucks of the day. Ford, eager to participate in this growing segment, but without a ready small pickup of its own, turned to Mazda for a solution. The result was the Ford Courier, a rebadged version of the Mazda B-Series pickup, which Ford marketed under its own brand. The decision to partner with Mazda was both practical and strategic. Ford and Mazda already had a developing relationship, and the Courier allowed Ford to quickly enter the compact truck segment without spending years developing an entirely new vehicle. Launched in the United States in 1972, the Ford Courier was essentially a Mazda pickup with a Ford badge, slightly modified styling, and distribution through Ford's network. Its name, Courier, suggested speed, delivery, and practicality, ideas that match the intended use of a small utility vehicle. The Courier was powered by modest four-cylinder engines, often around 1.8 liters or 2.0 liters, engines that emphasized economy over raw power. Compared to Ford's larger F-Series trucks, it was a very different proposition, but it was exactly what many new buyers were looking for. During its first years on the market, the Courier appealed to younger customers, small business owners, and people who had never before considered a pickup. It was less intimidating than the massive trucks that had dominated American roads. It was also affordable, which gave it appeal to college students, hobbyists, and anyone needing a versatile second car. The small pickup could carry building materials, camping gear, or sports equipment, but it was still easy to drive in cities. For some, it became a lifestyle vehicle, part of the growing culture of outdoor recreation in the 1970s. For others, it was simply a smart purchase in an era when gasoline prices had suddenly spiked. The design of the Courier reflected its Japanese origins. It was compact and lightweight, with a straightforward interior and a simple dashboard. It was not built for luxury, but rather for durability and function. Over time, Ford offered more trim options, four-wheel drive versions, and styling updates, but the underlying philosophy remained the same. It was a truck that emphasized practicality. The Courier was also significant because it marked a point when American consumers began to accept the idea of imported or internationally sourced vehicles being sold by domestic brands. In many ways, it foreshadowed the globalization of the auto industry that would become commonplace by the 1990s and 2000s. By the late 1970s and early 1980s, the Courier continued to evolve. Competition from Toyota and Datsun was strong, and Ford knew it had to maintain a presence in this category. The Courier, still based on Mazda platforms, grew slightly in size and power, keeping up with customer expectations. Ford marketed it not only in the United States, but in other regions where compact trucks were even more vital. In South America, Asia, and parts of Europe, the Courier name gained recognition as a symbol of dependable small trucks. For many families and small businesses in developing markets, the Courier represented affordability, reliability, and access to mobility that larger and more expensive trucks could not offer. In North America, the role of the Courier eventually shifted. By the early 1980s, Ford introduced the Ranger, a compact pickup developed entirely in the United States, designed to replace the Courier and compete directly with Japanese imports. The Ranger was larger and more distinctly American in style, but it owed its existence to the lessons Ford learned from the Courier years. The Courier did not disappear globally, however. In some markets, it continued to be sold in different forms, often still connected to Mazda under the skin. This adaptability is part of what makes the Courier's history complex and fascinating. Perhaps one of the most interesting aspects of the Courier's legacy is its transformation in the 1990s into a small van in certain regions. In Europe and South America, the Courier nameplate was repurposed for a compact panel van derived from the Ford Fiesta platform. This Ford Courier van was a very different vehicle from the original pickup, but it carried forward the same principles of practicality, efficiency, and affordability. It became a popular choice for small businesses, delivery services, and urban tradespeople who needed a vehicle that could navigate tight city streets while still carrying goods or equipment. The van version of the Courier demonstrated how flexible the nameplate could be, adapting to different decades and different needs. In South America and other South American markets, the Ford Courier pickup returned again in the 1990s, this time as a small front-wheel drive utility truck based on the Ford Fiesta as well. It was not a body-on-frame truck like the original, but a car-derived pickup designed to suit local markets where such vehicles are highly valued. In these regions, small ute-style vehicles provided exactly the right balance of affordability and practicality for both personal and commercial use. The Courier once again fit perfectly into its environment, proving the lasting appeal of the concept. From a broader perspective, the Courier is significant because it shows how automotive companies reuse ideas, partnerships, and even names to adapt to market conditions. The original Courier in the 1970s was born out of necessity, helping Ford respond to Japanese competition and a changing economic climate. The later versions in Europe and South America reflected different challenges, including urbanization, delivery demands, and the need for affordable, light commercial vehicles. In every era, the Courier offered something valuable, a practical, efficient vehicle that filled a gap in Ford's lineup. Enthusiasts today look back at the original 1970s Courier with nostalgia. Some restore them, enjoying their simplicity and the charm of a small pickup from a time when trucks were not yet as large and complex as they have become. Collectors appreciate the role in history as one of the first truly global Ford vehicles built through international cooperation. In South America, the later Courier pickups remain part of daily life, valued for their toughness and low running costs. In Europe, the Courier vans served countless small businesses, becoming part of the urban landscape. The Courier, therefore, is more than just one vehicle. It is a symbol of Ford's ability to adapt, to recognize opportunities, and to collaborate internationally. It also illustrates the changing role of utility vehicles across decades. From a compact pickup for American students in the 1970s, to a delivery van for European tradespeople in the 1990s, to a car-derived pickup for South American families.
Number 6.
The Ford F-100 holds a central place in the history of American trucks, not only as a representative of the Ford F-Series, but also as a vehicle that helped define what a pickup truck could be. When people today think of classic pickups, the F-100 often comes to mind because it represents the moment when trucks shifted from being strictly utilitarian machines to becoming part of everyday family life. Introduced as part of the second generation of the F-Series in the early 1950s, the F-100 quickly became a symbol of durability, style, and versatility, embodying the American ideal of practicality combined with personal expression. The origins of the F-100 go back to 1953 when Ford introduced a major redesign of its pickup line. Before this, Ford's trucks were named by their gross vehicle weight rating rather than by a more consumer-friendly numbering system. With the launch of the 1953 models, Ford adopted the F-Series names we recognize today, such as F-100, F-250, and F-350. The F-100 replaced the earlier F-1 designation and immediately set itself apart by combining work-ready toughness with a level of comfort and design that had not been common in trucks until then. Ford marketed it not only to farmers and tradesmen, but also to families who wanted a vehicle that could serve double duty, hauling during the week and providing personal transportation on weekends. One of the defining features of the early F-100 models was their styling. The trucks had a more rounded, modern appearance compared to the boxier pre-1953 models. They carried a distinctive grille, integrated headlights, and a sleeker body design that made them more appealing to a wider range of buyers. For the first time, Ford emphasized driver comfort by offering a more spacious cab, improved seating, and better visibility. These features reflected a cultural shift in which trucks were no longer just tools, but also companions for daily life. The F-100 was at the forefront of this transformation. Under the hood, the F-100 was offered with a range of engines, including inline 6s and V8s, allowing customers to choose based on their needs and budgets. This variety gave it flexibility across different buyer groups. Farmers could choose rugged and simple 6-cylinder models for economy, while buyers who wanted more power could select V8 versions. The combination of engine options, payload capacity, and Ford's reputation for reliability made the F-100 a highly attractive choice in the growing pickup market of the 1950s. As the years went on, the F-100 evolved through successive generations, each one reflecting both technological improvements and cultural changes in the United States. By the mid-1950s, the F-100 gained a wraparound windshield, updated interiors, and even more powerful engine options. In 1957, Ford introduced a bold redesign with integrated body lines, creating a more car-like appearance that further blurred the lines between passenger cars and utility vehicles. These design changes were more than just cosmetic. They reflected Ford's recognition that trucks were being purchased not only for work, but also for personal use. The F-100 was at the forefront of this transformation. The 1960s were a particularly important decade for the F-100. As pickup trucks became more widely accepted as family vehicles, Ford introduced features like automatic transmissions, power steering, and air conditioning, features that had previously been reserved for passenger cars. The F-100 became a symbol of Middle America, a vehicle that could tow, haul, and transport kids to school in equal measure. By this time, competitors like Chevrolet and Dodge were also modernizing their trucks, but the Ford F-Series consistently maintained strong sales, with the F-100 at the center of the lineup. Culturally, the F-100 also became iconic during this period. It appeared in movies, television shows, and advertisements that emphasized not only its toughness, but also its style. In rural communities, the F-100 was a trusted workhorse. In suburban neighborhoods, it was increasingly seen parked in driveways as part of family life. This dual identity gave the F-100 a broad appeal, ensuring its place in both popular culture and practical daily use. The 1970s brought further transformations. By this time, Ford trucks had grown larger and more powerful, reflecting rising consumer demand for more versatile vehicles. The F-100 continued to serve as the half-ton entry point in the F-Series lineup, but it also became a platform for experimentation. Ford introduced special trim levels such as the Ranger package, which added visual upgrades and comfort features. Trucks were becoming personal statements, and the F-100 was part of that trend.
Number 5. The Dodge D200 is one of those classic American trucks that represents a specific chapter in the history of utility vehicles, reflecting both the ruggedness of mid-20th century truck design and the steady shift toward greater versatility and comfort. The D200 was part of Dodge's D-Series line of pickups, which spanned several decades and competed directly against the Ford F-Series and the Chevrolet CK trucks. While it never achieved the sales dominance of its rivals, the Dodge D200 built a reputation for strength, durability, and individuality, and it remains a favorite among enthusiasts and collectors today, who see it as a distinctive alternative to the more common trucks of its era. The Dodge D-Series was first introduced in 1961 as a successor to Dodge's C-Series trucks. The new D-Series featured a modernized design, straighter body lines, and a stronger frame. Within this lineup, the D200 designated the 3/4-ton two-wheel drive version. In Dodge's naming system at the time, D indicated rear-wheel drive, while W indicated four-wheel drive. The numbers 100, 200, and 300 represented half-ton, three-quarter-ton, and 1-ton capacities, respectively. Thus, the D200 was positioned as a versatile work truck, capable of handling heavier loads than the D100, but without the bulk and cost of the larger D300. It filled an important middle ground for farmers, contractors, and small business owners who needed real capability, but still wanted a truck that could double as daily transportation. The design of the early 1960s D200 reflected Dodge's attempt to distinguish itself in a competitive market. The trucks featured a wide, horizontal grille with integrated headlights, clean body panels, and the squared-off cab that offered good visibility. The interiors were simple but functional, with durable materials designed to withstand hard use. Over time, Dodge offered more comfort features, but in its early years, the D200 was still very much a workhorse. Buyers could choose from a range of engines, including straight sixes for economy and V8s for power. Dodge offered manual transmissions as standard, but automatic options became increasingly available as the 1960s went on. For customers who needed more towing and hauling capacity, the D200 was a practical step up from the lighter models. One of the interesting features of the D200 and other Dodge D-Series trucks was Dodge's willingness to innovate. Dodge was not afraid to try ideas that set it apart from Ford and Chevrolet. In the 1960s, Dodge introduced the swept-line bed, a straight-sided design that increased cargo space and gave the trucks a distinctive appearance. At the same time, they also offered the Utiline bed, a traditional step-side style with protruding fenders for customers who preferred a more classic look. This flexibility allowed the D200 to appeal to different tastes and needs. Another Dodge innovation was the introduction of independent front suspension on two-wheel drive models, which improved ride comfort compared to traditional solid front axles. This was part of Dodge's broader strategy to make trucks not only tough, but also more livable for everyday driving. Throughout the 1960s, the Dodge D200 found a loyal but somewhat limited audience. Ford and Chevrolet dominated the pickup market, but Dodge carved out a niche by offering strong engineering, distinctive styling, and a reputation for toughness. Farmers, in particular, appreciated the payload capacity of the D200, while small business owners used them as reliable fleet vehicles. Dodge also marketed its trucks with bold advertising that emphasized their strength, showing them pulling heavy loads, working on construction sites, or braving rugged terrain. The D200 may not have been the best-selling truck of its era, but it built credibility as a durable, straightforward machine. The 1970s brought significant changes to the D200 and the entire Dodge D-Series lineup.
Number 4.
The Ford Ranchero occupies a unique place in the history of American automobiles because it blurred the line between car and truck in a way that captured both practicality and style. Introduced in 1957, the Ranchero was neither a traditional pickup nor a typical passenger car. Instead, it combined the comfort and driving dynamics of a car with the utility of a truck bed. This combination gave it a personality all its own, appealing to buyers who wanted something versatile but also fashionable. Although the idea of a car-based pickup was not entirely new, Ford popularized it in the American market with the Ranchero, and the model became an icon in its own right during the decades it was produced. The concept of the Ranchero came at a time when post-war America was booming. Families were buying cars in record numbers, and consumer tastes were becoming more diverse. Many households wanted vehicles that could serve multiple purposes, but they did not necessarily want the size and roughness of a full pickup truck. Ford saw an opportunity to offer something different, a car with a cargo bed. This design would allow customers to enjoy smooth handling, comfortable seating, and stylish looks while still being able to haul loads, whether for work, farming, or recreation. The Ranchero was based on the full-size Ford platform of 1957, and it shared much of its styling with the Ford Fairlane. Its slogan at launch was, "More than a car, more than a truck," which perfectly summed up its hybrid character.
The first-generation Ranchero made an immediate impact. It was offered with the same engine choices as Ford's cars, ranging from economical 6 cylinders to powerful V8s. This meant customers could configure the Ranchero to suit their lifestyles, from a practical work vehicle to a stylish, high-performance machine. Its design, with sweeping lines and a 2-door cab, made it stand out in showrooms. Farmers appreciated that it could carry tools or produce, while young drivers enjoyed the sporty image. Unlike full-size pickups, which were primarily marketed for work, the Ranchero carried a sense of flair that was appealing to a new kind of consumer. By the 1960s, the Ranchero began evolving along with changing trends in the automotive world. In 1960, Ford downsized the Ranchero by basing it on the compact Ford Falcon. This made it lighter, more economical, and well-suited to an era when compact cars were gaining popularity. The Falcon-based Ranchero became especially popular in urban areas, where its small size and fuel efficiency were appreciated. It was also affordable, making it a good choice for younger buyers or families looking for a second car that could double as a utility vehicle. The Falcon-based Ranchero showed the flexibility of the concept, proving that the car-truck idea could succeed across different platforms and sizes. Later in the 1960s, as American cars grew larger and more powerful, the Ranchero grew as well. In 1966, it moved to the mid-size Fairlane platform, giving it more interior space and cargo capacity. This generation emphasized performance as well as utility. Buyers could order Rancheros with powerful V8 engines, including versions equipped with muscle car performance similar to the Fairlane GT or Torino GT. This was the muscle car era, and the Ranchero participated in it fully. It was possible to buy a Ranchero with stripes, mag wheels, and engines that rivaled Mustangs and Torinos. For enthusiasts, the idea of a vehicle that could haul lumber on Monday and line up at the drag strip on Friday was irresistible. This dual identity gave the Ranchero a unique following. In the 1970s, the Ranchero continued to adapt, moving to the Torino platform and eventually the LTD2 platform. These versions were larger, heavier, and more luxurious, reflecting broader trends in American car design at the time. By this period, the Ranchero had developed a reputation as a stylish personal vehicle rather than just a practical one. Ford offered higher trim levels such as the Ranchero GT, Squire, and even luxury-oriented models with plush interiors and wood grain exterior trim. The Ranchero became part of the personal luxury car trend, offering comfort and image alongside utility. At the same time, however, the 1970s brought challenges. Rising fuel prices, emissions regulations, and changing consumer tastes made large, heavy vehicles less appealing. The Ranchero, once at the cutting edge of innovation, began to feel like a niche product. It is impossible to talk about the Ranchero without mentioning its chief rival, the Chevrolet El Camino. Introduced 2 years after the Ranchero, the El Camino quickly became a fierce competitor. Both vehicles offered similar concepts, and both threw on their parent company's car platforms. Over the years, the rivalry between Ranchero and El Camino became legendary, with enthusiasts fiercely loyal to one or the other. While the El Camino often outsold the Ranchero, Ford's entry maintained a strong presence and kept its own distinctive identity. For buyers who were loyal to Ford products, the Ranchero was the natural choice. And for many, it carried more style and prestige than its Chevrolet counterpart. Despite its innovations and loyal following, the Ranchero could not survive the dramatic shifts of the late 1970s. American consumers were moving away from car-based pickups, focusing instead on compact trucks from Japan or traditional full-size pickups. The Ranchero's large size and declining practicality hurt its sales, and by 1979, Ford ended production of the Ranchero. Unlike Chevrolet, which continued the El Camino into the 1980s, Ford chose not to revive the Ranchero in later decades. Instead, Ford concentrated on its highly successful F-Series trucks, which were becoming the dominant vehicles in the American market. Still, the absence of the Ranchero left a unique gap that has never fully been filled. Today, the Ford Ranchero is remembered as a symbol of creativity and style in the automotive industry.
Enthusiasts treasure the different generations, each of which has its own personality. The early full-size rancheros from the 1950s are admired for their classic styling and historical significance. The Falcon-based versions of the early 1960s are loved for their simplicity and economy. The muscle car era rancheros of the late 1960s and early 1970s are prized for their performance potential and bold looks. Even the later luxury-oriented models have their fans, who appreciate their comfort and retro appeal. Restored rancheros often appear at car shows, and modified versions with powerful modern engines and custom styling keep the spirit alive. The cultural impact of the ranchero should not be underestimated. It represented a willingness to experiment, to combine categories, and to challenge expectations of what a vehicle could be. It showed that utility did not have to mean dullness, and that style could go hand in hand with practicality. The ranchero also became part of American pop culture, appearing in films, television, and music, often symbolizing freedom, individuality, and a slightly rebellious spirit. For many people who grew up in the 1960s and 1970s, the sight of ranchero brings back memories of a time when cars expressed personality as much as function. In conclusion, the Ford Ranchero stands as one of the most distinctive vehicles in Ford's long history. It was bold in concept, innovative in execution, and versatile in use.
Number 3. The GMC Sprint and its successor, the GMC Caballero, represent a unique chapter in the history of American automobiles, particularly in the niche market of car-based pickups. These models were General Motors' answer to the growing popularity of the Chevrolet El Camino, offering a similar concept under the GMC brand. While the El Camino had been introduced earlier, the Sprint and Caballero brought their own distinct flair to the segment, appealing to a different demographic and showcasing GM's versatility in catering to diverse consumer preferences. The GMC Sprint was launched in 1971 as a coupe utility vehicle, essentially a pickup truck with the body of a car. This design allowed for the practicality of a truck bed combined with the comfort and styling of a passenger car. The Sprint was based on the Chevrolet Chevelle platform, sharing much of its architecture and design elements. This platform provided a solid foundation for the Sprint, ensuring durability and performance while maintaining a smooth ride characteristic of GM's A-body vehicles. Under the hood, the 1971 GMC Sprint offered a range of engine options to cater to various performance needs. The base model came equipped with a 250 cubic inch inline-six engine, delivering adequate power for everyday driving. For those seeking more performance, V8 options were available, including the 307 and 350 cubic inch engines. The top-tier engine was the 454 cubic inch V8, a big block powerhouse producing up to 365 horsepower. This engine made the Sprint a formidable presence on the road, capable of impressive acceleration and top speeds. Transmission choices included a 3-speed manual, a 4-speed manual, and a 3-speed automatic, allowing drivers to select the configuration that best suited their driving style. The interior of the 1971 Sprint reflected the era's design trends, with options for vinyl or cloth bench seats and a straightforward dashboard layout. While not as luxurious as some of GM's other offerings, the Sprint provided a comfortable driving experience, with ample space for passengers and cargo. The rear cargo bed was designed to be functional, capable of handling various hauling tasks, from transporting tools to carrying recreational equipment. In 1973, the GMC Sprint underwent a redesign, aligning with the new A-body platform introduced by GM. This redesign featured updated styling cues, including a more squared-off front end and revised rear styling. The engine lineup was also updated, with the 454 V8 engine being discontinued after 1975 due to tightening emissions regulations. Smaller V8 options such as the 305 and 350 cubic inch engines became more prevalent, offering a balance between performance and fuel efficiency. Despite these changes, the Sprint retained its core appeal as a versatile vehicle that could serve both as a daily driver and a utility vehicle. The Sprint SP package, introduced in 1971, was GM's answer to Chevrolet's SS package.
This performance-oriented package was available exclusively on the custom trim and included features such as sportier suspension components, distinctive styling elements, and the availability of high-performance engines like the LS5 454 V8. This package allowed the Sprint to compete in the muscle car segment, offering enthusiasts a vehicle that combined utility with high-performance capabilities. However, by the mid-1970s, consumer preferences began to shift. The oil crisis of the 1970s led to increased fuel prices, making larger vehicles less appealing to the average consumer. Additionally, stricter emissions regulations and safety standards posed challenges for manufacturers. In response to these changing market dynamics, GM decided to discontinue the Sprint after the 1977 model year, opting instead to focus on other segments of the market, which were experiencing greater demand. In 1978, GMC introduced the Caballero, effectively replacing the Sprint. The Caballero retained the core concept of the Sprint, a car-based pickup, but featured updated styling and design elements. The Caballero was based on the GM G-Body platform, which offered improved handling characteristics and a more refined ride compared to the A-Body platform. This shift in platform also allowed for a more modern design, with sleeker lines and updated interior features. Under the hood, the 1978 Caballero offered a range of engine options, including V6 and V8 configurations. The base engine was the 3.3-liter V6, providing adequate power for daily driving. For those seeking more performance, V8 options were available, including the 305 and 350 cubic inch engines. These engines offered a balance between power and fuel efficiency, catering to a broad spectrum of consumers. Transmission choices included both manual and automatic options, allowing drivers to select the configuration that best suited their preferences. The interior of the Caballero was more refined than that of the Sprint, reflecting the industry's trend toward greater comfort and luxury in vehicles. The dashboard featured updated instrumentation, and higher quality materials were used throughout the cabin. The rear cargo bed retained its utility, capable of handling various hauling tasks, but was now complemented by a more comfortable and stylish interior.
Number 2. The Dodge Rampage is a unique and fascinating vehicle in the history of American automobiles, representing a niche that blended compact car efficiency with light-duty pickup utility. Introduced in 1982 and produced until 1984, the Rampage was Chrysler's answer to the growing market demand for small, fuel-efficient trucks in an era shaped by rising fuel prices and shifting consumer preferences. Unlike full-size pickups, which dominated the American landscape for decades, the Rampage was based on a unibody platform, a design borrowed from the front-wheel drive Dodge Omni. This meant that, unlike traditional body-on-frame pickups, the Rampage offered car-like handling, lighter weight, and greater fuel efficiency, catering to urban drivers, small business owners, and budget-conscious consumers. It was a compact, innovative, and highly specialized vehicle that highlighted Chrysler's willingness to experiment in response to market trends. The Rampage was designed during a time when compact pickups were beginning to gain popularity, largely due to competition from Japanese manufacturers such as Toyota and Datsun, who were offering small, efficient trucks that appealed to city dwellers and small-scale commercial users. Chrysler recognized that the American market was starting to demand vehicles that could combine the cargo capacity of a truck with the maneuverability and economy of a car. The Rampage was the company's experiment in this segment, designed to attract buyers who needed a small utility vehicle but did not want to commit to a full-size pickup. Its unique positioning reflected the broader trend in the early 1980s of blending categories to create vehicles that were versatile yet compact. The Dodge Rampage shared its platform with the Dodge Omni and Plymouth Horizon, two small front-wheel drive hatchbacks. This unibody architecture distinguished the Rampage from traditional pickups, which relied on a separate body-on-frame design. The Rampage's front-wheel drive layout contributed to its lighter weight and more responsive handling, giving it a car-like driving experience unusual for a pickup at the time. Its compact dimensions allowed it to navigate urban environments with ease, making it particularly appealing to consumers who needed a practical vehicle for city streets as well as light hauling.
The Rampage thus represented a departure from conventional American trucks, introducing a level of agility and fuel economy previously uncommon in the segment. The cargo bed of the Rampage was relatively small compared to traditional pickups, but was sufficient for a variety of light-duty tasks. It was capable of carrying small loads, tools, or supplies, making it suitable for small businesses, tradespeople, and hobbyists. While it lacked the heavy-duty towing capacity of larger pickups, the Rampage provided a flexible and practical alternative for buyers whose needs were moderate. Its compact size, combined with a car-like suspension, allowed for easier parking and maneuvering, which was particularly advantageous in crowded urban environments or suburban neighborhoods. This focus on versatility and urban utility set the Rampage apart from many of its competitors. Under the hood, the Dodge Rampage offered a range of four-cylinder engines designed to balance performance and fuel economy. The base engine was a 1.7-liter inline-4, producing modest power sufficient for everyday driving and light hauling. Later models offered a 2.2-liter four-cylinder engine, which improved performance without sacrificing fuel economy. Transmission options included a standard manual and an automatic, giving drivers flexibility according to preference and driving conditions. These engine choices reflected Chrysler's recognition that Rampage buyers were looking for an economical, practical vehicle rather than a high-performance truck. One of the distinguishing features of the Rampage was its design. While small, the vehicle maintained a clean, purposeful look that integrated the cabin and cargo bed into a cohesive unit. Unlike many Japanese compacts of the era, which often felt like scaled-down trucks, the Rampage retained a strong American identity in its styling. The vehicle was available in a variety of trim levels, allowing buyers to select a more basic utilitarian version or a slightly more refined version with additional comfort features. This flexibility demonstrated Chrysler's attempt to appeal to both practical users and consumers who valued style alongside functionality. The Rampage's market impact was modest but notable. It never achieved the sales volumes of Ford's Ranger, Toyota's Hilux, or Datsun's small trucks, but it occupied a unique niche in the market. Its primary appeal was to urban buyers and small-scale commercial users who needed a vehicle that could handle light cargo without the bulk of a conventional pickup. It also attracted buyers who appreciated its unique approach to design and engineering, including its unibody construction and front-wheel drive layout. While it was not a mainstream success, the Rampage became a memorable example of Chrysler's willingness to innovate in response to market demands. During its production run from 1982 to 1984, the Rampage received minor updates and refinements. These included small styling tweaks, improved trim options, and updates to the available engines. Chrysler did not invest heavily in marketing the Rampage, which limited its visibility compared to other pickups. But the vehicle nonetheless developed a small but loyal following. Enthusiasts appreciated its unusual combination of car-like driving dynamics with the utility of a pickup, and its rarity today contributes to its status as a collectible vehicle. The Rampage also reflected broader trends in the American automotive industry during the early 1980s. Rising fuel costs, stricter emissions regulations, and a growing interest in compact and efficient vehicles prompted manufacturers to explore new concepts. The Rampage represented one such experiment, blending categories to create a unique product. While its timing of its release was advantageous in addressing fuel economy concerns, its limited production and niche positioning meant that it remained a specialized vehicle rather than a mass-market phenomenon. From a cultural perspective, the Rampage occupies an interesting position. It symbolizes a period when American manufacturers were willing to take risks, blending design elements from different vehicle categories to create new concepts. It also illustrates the challenge of competing against well-established foreign imports, which dominated the compact pickup segment. For collectors and automotive historians, the Rampage offers insight into Chrysler's strategy during a period of market uncertainty, highlighting both the innovation and the risks inherent in trying something new.
Despite its short production run, the Rampage has left a lasting legacy. Today, it's valued among enthusiasts for its rarity, unique design, and combination of practical utility and car-like performance. Restored examples often appear at car shows, where they're appreciated for their distinctive character and historical significance. The Rampage's influence can be seen in later attempts by manufacturers to create crossover and compact utility vehicles that blend car and truck elements. In this sense, the Rampage was ahead of its time, anticipating the later popularity of crossovers and light-duty urban trucks.
Number 1. The Dodge Warlock is one of the most iconic and visually striking trucks in American automotive history, representing a unique blend of style, performance, and customization during the late 1970s and early 1980s. Introduced in 1976 as part of Dodge's Warlock series, the Warlock was not a separate model in the traditional sense, but rather a factory special edition package available on the Dodge D-Series pickups. These trucks were part of Dodge's strategy to appeal to a younger, style-conscious demographic that wanted a vehicle with more personality and flair than the standard pickup. The Warlock, along with its sister packages, the Little Red Express and Adventurer, helped define the era of performance and appearance-focused trucks, bridging the gap between work vehicles and lifestyle statements. The Warlock's creation came at a time when the pickup truck market in the United States was evolving rapidly. Consumers were no longer satisfied with purely utilitarian trucks. They sought vehicles that reflected their personal style and tastes. Dodge recognized this trend and decided to offer a special edition truck that combined bold graphics, distinctive trim, and optional performance enhancements. Unlike the standard D-Series, which focused primarily on functionality and durability, the Warlock offered buyers an opportunity to own a pickup that was both practical and visually exciting. It catered to enthusiasts who wanted to stand out on the road while maintaining the utility that a truck provided. Visually, the Dodge Warlock was immediately recognizable. The package included blacked-out trim, bold Warlock decals, and a matte black grille with distinctive front-end styling. The trucks were typically available in striking color combinations with metallic paints and contrasting accents that made them stand out from the standard fleet of work trucks. Chrome was minimized and a more aggressive, sporty appearance was emphasized. The interior also received attention, with features such as upgraded seating, color-coordinated dashboards, and optional tilting steering wheels, creating a cohesive design language that reinforced the Warlock's unique identity. These aesthetic choices made the Warlock an instant favorite among young drivers and truck enthusiasts. Mechanically, the Dodge Warlock shared the robust underpinnings of the D-Series pickups, which were known for their reliability and durability. These trucks were available with a variety of engines, ranging from inline sixes for economy to V8s for power. Popular engine options included the 318, 360, and 440 cubic inch V8s, giving buyers the ability to tailor their Warlock for performance or utility. Transmission choices included manual and automatic gearboxes, allowing drivers to select a configuration that best suited their driving style and needs. While the Warlock package focused on appearance, the availability of powerful engines ensured that the trucks could deliver a strong performance when desired. The Warlock also represented Dodge in an effort to create a distinctive subculture around truck ownership. Alongside the Warlock, Dodge offered other factory special editions that emphasized performance and individuality, such as the Little Red Express, which was a high-performance street truck with a distinctive red paint job, and the Adventurer, which leaned toward luxury and style. Together, these trucks transformed the perception of pickups from purely utilitarian vehicles to lifestyle statements. The Warlock, in particular, captured the imagination of younger buyers who wanted a truck that was visually aggressive, customizable, and capable of reflecting their personality. Customization and personalization were central to the Warlock's appeal. Dodge offered a wide range of factory options, including special wheels, bed liners, air conditioning, and upgraded stereo systems.
Many buyers also took advantage of aftermarket modifications, adding performance enhancements, lift kits, or custom paintwork. This culture of customization helps solidify the Warlock's status as a symbol of individualism within the pickup truck market. Owning a Warlock was not just about having a reliable truck, it was about making a statement, expressing personal taste, and participating in a community of enthusiasts who valued both style and performance. Production numbers for the Dodge Warlock were limited compared to standard D-Series trucks, contributing to its rarity and collectability today. The package was offered for several model years, typically from 1976 to the early 1980s, after which Dodge shifted its marketing strategies towards other special editions and performance trucks. Despite its relatively short production run, the Warlock has maintained a strong following among collectors and enthusiasts, with restored examples highly sought after at car shows and auctions. Its distinctive styling, combined with its connection to the golden era of special edition trucks, ensures its continued popularity. Culturally, the Dodge Warlock occupies an important position in the history of American trucks. It reflects a period when manufacturers recognized the potential of appealing to youth markets and lifestyle buyers. The Warlock's aggressive styling, bold graphics, and emphasis on individuality resonated with a generation that valued personal expression and distinctive vehicles. It also marked a broader trend in the automotive industry towards appearance packages and factory customization, a concept that continues to influence truck design to this day. The Warlock helped demonstrate that pickups could be more than just tools. They could be extensions of personality, symbols of style, and vehicles for enjoyment as well as work. The Warlock also represented an era of mechanical robustness combined with flexibility. Its underlying D-Series platform was built to handle heavy loads and endure daily use, while the Warlock package added an element of flair and exclusivity. This combination made it appealing to both enthusiasts who wanted a stylish truck and practical users who appreciated its durability.